Uncle Ma'at, Facebook. Autenong Timbang still. Uncle Ma'at, Sandy. Uncle Ma'at, Persephone. All right, so good to see you all today. Dua Netter. Yes. Thank you for joining us today for our regularly scheduled communion service. We're going to get started in just a moment. We always begin communion with our daily prayer. So we will do that, and then we will dive into the roll call, and then we will share some things with you all today. All right? Uncle Ma'at, Nazaha. Uncle Ma'at, Autenongton, Jason. Dua, is that Yukia? Yukia love? Dua. I appreciate that. That's so nice of you to say. Uncle Ma'at, Trina. Autenongton, Queen Medina. Dua Netter. All right, so we ready?
Yeah.
All right. All right, I hit the button. Okay, hopefully we didn't lose Facebook there. Okay, let's go. Amatu impanatir, Sawek tu impanatir, Autu auma, Keti pa heru. The translation is give yourself to Netta daily, keep yourself for Netta daily, and may tomorrow be as today. We give homage to the Creator, who is like our Father and who is like our Mother, who is everything that we can perceive and everything that we cannot perceive, who is everything and yet is no thing, who comes to us in the form of the Neteru Ra, who is the light of the heavens, light of the inner planes, as well as the light of our lives, who shines the light for us on the path of Ma'ati, which is the path of truth, justice, righteousness, and harmonious balance, who comes to us in the form of the light of vitality, giving us the strength and the endurance to live and act upon that which we know to be true. Homage to you, the one who shines in and through us as a beacon of light for those who are blind to the facts of their place, their position, and their divine ability in the divine scheme of things. May we be Ma'akaru, true of thought, word, and deed, to our highest reality, and in the moments of crises in the dark nights of the soul, when it appears that everyone and everything else has let us down, so it is, and so shall it be. Everyone say, Amen Ma'at. Ma'akaru. Dua Netter. Okay. So let's dive into the roll call. We got people joining us on Facebook and on YouTube. We're doing our dual cast as normal. So we always want to know where you guys are chiming in from. Where are y'all joining us from? I think I saw London in the UK already. So, that's a nice place to start. We start with international. Why not? Dua Netter, I love that. All right, Philly is in the building, and Cleveland, Ohio. New Haven, Connecticut. Dua Netter. Yes. Long Island, New York. Okay. Lincoln, Nebraska. Okay. Edmond, Oklahoma. Rochester, New York. Queens, New York. Nice.
New York cruise.
Michigan. Yes. Of course, Newark, New Jersey.
The new Ark. A new Ark. A New Jersey.
Hyattsville, Maryland. Newcastle, Delaware. Lower East Side, New York City. Atlanta, Georgia.
Okay.
Nice. Very, very nice. Spartanburg, South Carolina. I feel like a lot of smaller towns or like places I ain't heard before. Alabama, Phoenix.
That's the true South.
Yeah. White Plains in the building. Yes.
Michigan.
Another person in Michigan. Our brother Lesego from Johannesburg, South Africa, is with us again. Dua Netter, good to see you again. Yes. Give thanks. Did we get everybody? Is that everybody? I know it just stopped. The comment just stopped. Like, okay, I guess we got everybody. Harlem, New York in the building. Okay. Yes. All right. Well, it's always good to be able to make these connections, to have a sense of like where people are chiming in from. I feel like one of the common things that we hear is that folks are in areas where there's not a lot happening in their local town, right?
Yeah.
And that they don't have a temple there, they don't have a community there. Um, I'm just grateful, again, that technology allows us to do this. Like,
Yeah.
I always think about, like, if we went through this pandemic 30 years ago, like, just how disconnected and solo this whole thing would be for us. And technology has actually allowed us to create connections that we maybe never would have. So, dua nata for that. We find reasons to be grateful even through the challenges. So I have a couple of quick announcements, and then I have a story I want to tell. So I'll start with the announcement. First off, our first down Kemet class, the summer 2020 class. Want to congratulate them real quick. They for passing their MAAT exam. Right. Yes. Right. Somebody said we keep freezing. Are y'all watching the Facebook? Okay, let us know if that keeps happening or something. All right. Yes, they passed their exam. So I'm not gonna get into all the details of that right now. Like I wanna like say their names and like shout them out and say a whole bunch of nice words, but we're gonna do that next communion. So I wanted to give y'all a heads up. Next communion, we're gonna really shine a spotlight on our first time Kemet graduates and the journey that they went through this summer into the fall. It was really, really awesome actually to get to go through it with that group. And I'll save the rest of my nice things for later. The second thing I want to acknowledge is that we are planning to have another First Down Kemet group starting this winter, hopefully sometime in January or February. So I want to just ask you all to keep an eye out for details on when we have our first orientation for First Down Kemet. You guys know that this is our introductory course. It is a course for people who are new to the legacy. Maybe you've been studying independently and you have a bunch of questions you want to get answered. Maybe you're unclear about your direction. Maybe you need some to get your foundation under you as far as the culture is concerned, right? Like sometimes when we study on our own, it ends up being a lot of history, and we want to think about it from a perspective of culture and like a way of life. Yeah. And maybe you also are interested in being a member of the Temple of Anu. So the First Down Kemet course is a course to help with all of those things. It is a course to get you on the path to answer all of those questions and concerns. And so we'll be having orientation soon for those of you who are interested. If anyone would like to learn more about First Eye before the orientation, send us a private message on Facebook, on Instagram, or you can email us templeofanu@gmail.com and request a copy of our First Down Kemet brochure. The news that I really want to share is that we've decided to extend our COVID-19 discount into this First Down Kemet session as well. The pandemic continues to rage on. People continue to be without relief. Jobs continue to be furloughed, and the government ain't got no stimulus package for us. So we felt like this was something we could extend to the community for those of you who want to make this investment in yourself. And being able to take advantage of that and make that investment in yourself at this discounted rate at this time. We didn't want that to be a stopper for why you choose not to move forward in terms of making spiritual progress, right? So more details coming on that. Again, reach out to us, send us a message if you have any questions. All right. And now onto my story, onto my personal story. I want to start with acknowledging, I think I want to just start with acknowledging, I don't think we really do a lot of talking about ourselves personally in this format. And one of the reasons for that is because as leaders, I think we often say and acknowledge that we're not perfect people, but somehow or another, I'm not a perfect person. The sun is perfect, apparently. I'm not a perfect person. We acknowledge that often, though, and but I think that what tends to happen sometimes is that even though, and this is not just a phenomenon that happens to us, we know that other leaders experience similar things. That even though you're honest about your imperfections and your flaws, people still put you on a pedestal. And people still expect perfection. And when that gets shattered, it sometimes breaks people's hearts and it hurts their ability to make progress in their lives. It like challenges their capacity to grow or to trust or to be vulnerable or to embrace spiritual teachings. So it's sometimes difficult for me in particular. I'll speak for myself, to want to be vulnerable and to want to share some things, because you never want to do so or put yourself in a position where like doing so is hurtful to other people. And I think the other part to this too is that sometimes because people expect perfection, when they find out that you're not perfect, they sometimes weaponize it against leaders. They use it against you, and they use it as some sort of evidence that like leaders and teachers, like that our community doesn't need leaders and our community doesn't need teachers. And I actually don't think that that's true. Like every community in the world, like they find means by which to organize and by which to have someone who assists with being like the decision maker and who assists with like guiding the direction and who assists with like helping all the different personalities in the community come together in harmony, right? Like leadership is important because there are so many of us who have so many different perspectives and talents and ideas, and leadership helps to channel that and to give it like direction and form and function, right? And yet when leaders are vulnerable, their flaws can be used against them. It can be used as evidence that people shouldn't follow leaders and things like that. So sometimes what ends up happening is that you look at us and other leaders and you feel like they are guarded. You feel like they are maybe arrogant. You feel like they are not being honest and authentic. And I think, we are being honest and authentic, but we're also acknowledging that like Black people have a lot of issues with leadership, and Black people have a lot of things that we're working on and healing. And in our need to come together, we want to do so. We want to make sure that we're coming together in a way that makes sense, and we're not inflicting more harm on people, and we're also not giving people reason not to trust their teachers and not to trust their leaders. So I want to acknowledge like all of this is stuff that we talked about before I decided to share this story, because it's just all context into why I guess we probably don't speak personally more often. It's just difficult to do so when you don't know if it'll be used against you later. And so I just want to say, like, I am choosing to trust you all in this moment and to be vulnerable and honest and authentic with you all in this moment, in the hopes that you all understand, in the hopes that you all understand that, right? I don't know another way to say that. In the hopes that you all understand that and are able to receive that. So dua for allowing me the space to do that. I want to talk about my healing journey over the last year and a half. And it really starts with, okay. Sorry, YouTube. I think we're back now. Is one of y'all monitoring the YouTube? Both of y'all are on Facebook? Okay. All right. We're back. We're back, YouTube. Okay. Thank you, Kev Fresh. All right. Last summer, we went on our Weapon Pet retreat, and while we were there, Miss Sipity was bit. We think it was by 2 ticks, but we don't know for sure because we didn't know he had been bitten by a tick at all. And so we came home from the retreat. We're thinking everything is okay. Probably about a week after we came home, he was rushed to the hospital, and it was determined that he had kidney failure, and he had severe muscle wasting as a result of the bacterial infection that the tick passed along to him. So I'm not going to talk about what he experienced because I can't talk about that, but I can talk about what I experienced as a person, and from my vantage point in terms of that particular crisis, which was really scary for me. I'll acknowledge too that it was probably scary for a lot of us who care about Nasut. The temple all rallied together, came together to support his health, to keep the temple going through that crisis. to support me during that crisis. So we all went through that crisis together, like in different vantage points and from different perspectives, and we all experienced something differently. For me, I experienced a great amount of fear in the first 6 hours, I think, that we were at the hospital. I didn't know if he was going to make it. There was moments in there where we were really thinking like we were at the end, and that was really scary. It was really difficult. Like, this is a person who is normally extremely healthy. Nasivity is someone who takes extremely good care of his health, a martial artist, takes supplements, eats well, works out every day.
Divine being in the flesh.
Divine being in the flesh, right? Takes very good care of himself. And so out of nowhere for this to happen, like, and again, we didn't know he had been bit. So far as we were concerned, it was out of nowhere. We had no idea where this came from. It was only later that we realized that it probably was a tick bite. But in the time that we're at the hospital and we don't know what's happening, we don't know why it's happening, we don't know where it's coming from. It was terrifying. It was terrifying. It was stressful. It was so stressful. And even over the next couple of days, the stress didn't really alleviate itself. There were people who hadn't been notified that he was in the hospital, and they were like, why didn't you tell me? And I'm like, I can't think. Like, my brain is like, I'm focused on taking care of him. I'm focused on being present. I'm focused on, like, and so I left people off the list who needed to know, and, all those types of things. And so there was, like, stress compounded on top of stress. And I did what a lot of caretakers do in that moment. I did not take care of myself, right? And I totally and entirely put him at the forefront of my attention and my energy, and also kept the temple very close to the forefront of my energy. I wanted to make sure that the temple understood that no matter what happened, we must continue to do our work. We must continue to have communions. We still gathered for our cookout. Once it was clear he was going to be okay, I was like, then we don't cancel the cookout, because we stay firm through the crisis. We do not let anything deter us from this walk of Ma'at. And so I wanted to.
I thought I was actually going to make the cookout.
Yeah, he did. He was like, I'm going to be there. Like, and we're like, you're not going to make the cookout. Yeah, he was like, I want to come home. Like, not happening. But, yeah, so we were like, no, we can still have the cookout. Like, we do not give up. We do not give in. We never let the forces of darkness defeat us, period. Like, that is what we believe. That is who we are. And that is, the value that we hold true. So that was important to me, too. And so thinking about the temple and everybody in the temple and how it is that I maintain the right focus for them and stay strong for them. And then also being present and strong for him. I didn't be present and strong for myself, right? Like, I didn't do what I needed to do for myself. So sometime within the second week that he was in the hospital, I had an anxiety attack. We were in the hospital one night, really, really late at night. Me and our temple healer, while Mentura was there. Somebody else was there. Was it you? Were you there?
I believe I was there.
I think Kerhev was also there.
I think it was just me and you.
No, Mintu was there too. I feel like somebody else was there, but your brother might have been there. And all of a sudden I had this pain shooting in my arm, all the way down the right side of my body, in my chest. I couldn't breathe. I never had an anxiety attack like that before. So I didn't know what was happening. And so I was like, I'll just go home and sleep it off. I'll be fine. And, the next day, Wab Bintura came and checked on me and, gave me some things to do. And I understood in that moment that, like, this is something I need to deal with. But I was still, like Nasib's in the hospital. He's still, like, dealing with trying to get his legs under him and being able to walk. We're still trying to figure out what we're going to do about this kidney situation. I'll get back to this anxiety thing later. I promise I'm gonna get back to that. I'm gonna take care of myself later. And so I got over the anxiety attack in that moment, and I just moved on. And then when he came home, even that presented with its own set of challenges, right, emotionally and physically, that we had to address and to deal with. And as we started to work our way through those things, I started to acknowledge that I needed to bring some attention back to myself and to taking care of myself and bringing myself back into balance. What I realized from that experience, from having the anxiety attack, what I realized, once things started to get stable and we started to feel more secure about where things were going, was that in like not taking care of myself, I kind of slipped a little bit off of my square, right? Like I slipped a bit, and I allowed the trauma and the fear of what happened to permeate its way into my being. And so that anxiety attack was simply a manifestation of the emotional trauma that I felt in those moments. It was a manifestation of that fear. It was a manifestation of like allowing that trauma and that experience to take a measure of root in my being. And so I knew that what I needed to do was to engage actively and concertedly and purposefully in healing myself, in uprooting anything that had taken hold in my being, and then healing myself from the wound that had occurred. And I want to talk about emotional healing a little bit. I want to phrase it in the way that we think about physical healing, right? Because sometimes we think about emotional healing and we think like, oh, I'm going to take this bath, or I'm going to use this essential oil and I'm going to be fine, right? But if you break your leg and you go to the doctor's going to put you in a cast, and he's going to be like, wear this cast for 3 months. Use these crutches for 6 months. After we take the cast off, then you have to wrap the leg. Then you have to apply the ointments. You got to take the medication. You got to do this. So it's going to be like 3 to 6 months. It might even be a whole year before your leg is back to normal from the break. And you at the doctor's office, you like, all I did was slip and fall. It took me 10 seconds to slip and fall and break my leg. So you telling me a 10-second fall is going to take me 3 to 6 months to heal? And the doctor's like, yeah, because you got to set the bone correctly. You got to wear this cast. You got to use the crutches, right? So emotional healing is exactly the same thing. It was only a moment where fear and anxiety and doubt enters into your being, right? It's only a moment. It's only a few moments. It's only a little while. And it's going to take 3, 6, 12, 18, 24, 48 months to deal with the ramifications of that moment, right? It's not a quick thing. You don't fix it or heal it overnight. It's something that requires our commitment and our long-term concerted effort. And I know that feels crazy because, like I said, it feels like, well, it's just a moment. I should be able to fix it quickly. But the deeper a trauma is, just like the deeper a wound is, the deeper a cut is, the deeper a break is, the deeper a muscle tear is, the harder and the longer it takes to heal it. The harder and the longer it takes to deal with it. And so I really want to say that first and foremost, because it's so important for us to give ourselves some grace and some compassion about the journey that we have to take in our emotional healing process. We can't expect to be fixed tomorrow from something that happened today. We have to allow that the healing process is a process, and it takes time, and it's a journey. And the most important aspect to that journey is our commitment not to waver from that journey. So in September, I made the decision to commit to a healing journey and to not waver from that journey. I went to the beach that September, and I remember sitting on the sand and letting the ocean waves crash over me top to bottom, and just begging the elements and nature, praying for them to remove that trauma from me, remove the fear from me, remove the lingering effects of that wound from me, praying for the divine strength to keep going, praying for the Neteru to support me in my healing journey, praying that they would have my back and that they would help me to stay strong with everything that I know that I need to do, praying and invoking and releasing and crying out and connecting with my inner divinity and connecting with the outer divinity and saying, tonight, in this time and in this space, like I want all of us, all of my ancestors and all of the deities and energies that walk with me to be focused on one specific goal, which is my healing, period. And crying out for that. And I've received my confirmation that the Neteru were with me while I sat there and I communed with the ocean that evening, and had a really beautiful spiritual experience. And it was like a promise that I was making to myself and to the Neteru, right? By speaking, I know some conscious people feel like prayer is like a Christian thing, right? And like, they're like, we're not supposed to pray. Like, our ancestors were prayerful, okay? Our ancestors understood the power of word. They deified word, right? That's why Jehuti is the netter of the word. Jehuti is the netter of language. Jehuti is the netter. He is called the great one of divine words, right? And so when we speak something, we can create our reality through our words. When you in your mind, you're like, I want to do something, like that's real on a level, but when you speak it out loud, it becomes real. It becomes the way that you are organizing the entire universe to conspire in your favor through the power and the magic of your word. So by speaking those words and speaking those prayers and doing that invocation, I was taking something inside of myself and making it tangible. And I was setting the intention in the universe, and I was asking for the Neteru's blessing, for their guidance, and for their strength. And so I feel like that's such an important step, that all of us have to make sure that we are prayerful and that we use the power of our words to help us achieve the things that we strive for, especially when it comes to our emotional healing. You have no idea how healing it is just in itself to speak out loud, like, yes, I am plagued by this and I will not be plagued by this any longer. I choose to release this. I will get over this. I will move on from this. And I ask for the Neteru to help me with this. There's so much power in that. And I encourage us all to do that. So that was one of the first steps that I took in my journey. One of the next things that I did was I looked for a dance class. And one of the reasons why is that I usually, for movement, normally I did a walking. Like I would walk back and forth from the subway several times a day in order to get a few miles in. But here I am in this situation, and now I realize that like I have this trauma in me. So I want to release it and I want to heal it. So I want to do something more than what I normally do. I want to go above and beyond. I don't think we can understate the importance of movement for us. Like we have such a sedentary lifestyle in the culture that we live in now, right? And our ancestors had all these opportunities to move and to be active people, like to be working in fields and to be working, as fishermen, and to be like physically active and doing things. And we're like at desks and computers, and we're like sitting all day, just like staring at screens. So really integrating movement into our lifestyle and into our healing practice helps us to make sure that the energies in our body don't stay stagnant, right? That the energies in our body are focused on healing. Because if you are sedentary, then how does the energy ever flow? If you're never moving, then when is there a flow? When is there ever movement? So you have to purposely look for ways to make movement happen in your life, whether it be through yoga, whether it be through martial arts, whether it be through working out, whether it be through running and track and things like that. For me personally, I decided to look for dance. And so I went and took a bunch of different dance classes to find something that I would like and something that I would stick to. So again, you see like the key there is consistency and commitment. So I don't want to tell anybody like, yeah, you got to do dance because that's what I'm doing. Like, no, you need to do the thing that you're going to stick to. You need to do the thing that you can do every single day. You need to do the thing that you're going to enjoy doing and love doing, so that when you move your body and you flex your body and you push your body, you're pushing out those energies. You're not allowing those energies to stay still. You're not allowing them to stay stagnant. You're not allowing them to take root in the body, right? That's so important, and that's so key. Another thing that I did in the beginning stages of my healing journey, I went into deep meditation to find out which netter or netterts that I needed to work with to help heal me. And Het Haru was the energy that I needed to work with to help me with that journey. And so for me, that answer came through like meditation and also through divination. So divination is one way for you if you want to know like how can like which netter or nettert is going to help support me in my healing journey, which netter or nettert is going to help me achieve the goals that I'm working on right now in this process. Going to a priest or priestess and seeking spiritual consultation and getting divination done really helps to clarify that for you, to help you to give some guidance and some shape to that, because sometimes we think that we want to work with a particular netter or nettert, and having a relationship with that energy might very well be a good idea, but it's not what you need right now, or it's not the relationship that's really calling out to you for this particular part of your journey. So divination helps with clarifying that. So I engaged in that. And Het Haru made herself very well. Like, she was like, hello, I'm right here, right? She was like, don't, like, pay attention to me. I am the one who you seek, right? And so that gave me some clarity about the way that I needed to express my prayers, the way that I needed to direct my offerings, the way that I needed to direct my meditations, the energies that I needed to cultivate in myself and in my life. Like, understanding that I need to cultivate Het Haru energy specifically was really key in helping to give form and shape to the rest of my practice, right? I also took spiritual baths. We have one spiritual bath at the temple that I really love. It's called the self-love bath. It's like a pink Himalayan salt with like ylang ylang and hibiscus. And when you take the top off and that ylang ylang hits you, it's the bomb. Margaret's like, yes, that's my favorite. That's her favorite too, apparently. So that's the one that I like. But it doesn't have to be that one, right? Again, you know, you're getting some of the easiest way to do it is to get some Epsom salt, put some essential oils on the salt, put that in your bath water. Another way to do it would be to purchase bath salts from another company, Black-owned company, Black-owned, support Black-owned, and to take bath salts to cleanse yourself as regularly and as often as possible, especially after you've gone through a trauma. But honestly, like with the lifestyle we live, the pollution we live in, the stressors that we have, we all need to be taking spiritual baths probably like once a week. Like, we need to be taking them regularly, so we're constantly pulling things off of ourselves, constantly like allowing ourselves to soak into an environment of like luxury and pleasure and like releasing stress and anxiety and allowing ourselves to enjoy and take care of ourselves and feel good for this moment. And so that's just something that needs to be done anyway, right? And actually, I'll just acknowledge, like, a lot of the stuff I'm talking about is stuff that always needs to be done anyway. And I think that's the beauty of the healing journey, right? Is that a lot of times you're not necessarily incorporating things into the healing journey that you weren't doing. Like, I was already working with the Neteru. I might not have been working with Het Haru, but I was already working with the Neteru for other things. I was already doing meditations. I was already taking essential salt baths. I was already making prayers and offerings. But for my healing journey, I made a decision to direct those things in a particular direction so that they're focused on my healing, right? They're focused on what I need to heal. But it's easy, right? It's easy to have those things in place when you already have a lifestyle of spirituality, and you already have a culture that's and a lifestyle that's meant to support and cultivate your connection to spirit and meant to support and cultivate your highest self, right? If you've already created these habits for yourself in your life, then when the trauma comes, then all you have to do is continue those habits. continue that lifestyle, continue those actions on a daily basis. Stay committed to those actions, stay committed to those practices. You don't have to find new practices or do new things. You just have to stay committed to the practices that you've already set up for yourself in your life, right? And then you're already focused on, again, continuing to cultivate and maintain a high vibration and a high spiritual connection. Part of the challenge is that many of us look for answers when we are in trauma or when we are in crisis. We look for answers and we look for help. But the true test is whether or not we're able to maintain that lifestyle even when everything is perfect and good. When everything in life is going good, are we still remembering to go to the Netru and express gratitude for everything being good? Are we still making our offerings? Are we still uplifting our ancestors? Are we still meditating? Are we still taking our salt baths? Are we still doing the work? Because that is how you keep everything good. That is how you make sure that the trauma doesn't take root. That is how you make sure that you have the capacity to maintain a strong spiritual foundation through any challenge, through any crisis, through any difficulty. That's the key, is that you create these habits in your life, and then these habits serve you even through the darkest moments of your life, right? I also want to shout out, just also to talk about the one last thing that I did during this journey. I'll shout out Life Strength and Health Holistic Center, which is in South Plainfield, New Jersey. They're doing virtual consultations right now. But I worked with them as well early on in my healing journey. I cut out all sugar from my lifestyle. I cut out all starch, so no rice, no potatoes, no bread, none of that. Wanting to clear all of that up, because of course when you go through something and it's challenging, it's difficult, what do? You reach for the comfort foods, you reach for the bread, you reach for the mac and cheese, you reach for the comfort foods. And so instead of covering up the emotional feelings with emotional food, I cut out all that emotional food so that I could really focus on addressing the emotions that I was feeling and dealing with them. Now, here's the truth of the story. The truth of the story is that I started all of this work in September and in October, and I had an anxiety attack in October, and I had an anxiety attack in November, and I had one in December, and I had one in January, and I had one in February. So even though I started that work, it was not a magic pill. It was not a magic pill that helped me to get over this trauma overnight. We already talked about that. It went on for me for a while, and I recognized also that in the process of healing from this trauma, there were other things that I needed to address. Also, I needed to get more sleep. I needed to take more time to take care of myself in a broader sense in my life. There were other things that I needed to address also in this process that ended up coming up through the journey of me cultivating myself. Remember, going back to 2 weeks ago, when you cultivate the soil, then stuff comes up. So now I'm cultivating my soil. I'm working on myself. Stuff is coming up. I got to address that. I got to deal with that. I got to integrate that into my healing journey as well. I have to make sure that that doesn't stay where it is and continue to be a part of my being in my life, so that it's not plaguing me going forward. I want to get all the impurities out. I want to get all the negativity out. I want to take away anything that's not for my best and highest good. If I'm focused on my healing journey, I can't just think about this one little narrow thing. I have to think about all the many ways that I could be made better than I was before. But here we are, a year and a half later, and I haven't had an anxiety attack in 6 months. And I lost 50 pounds. The 50 pounds wasn't necessarily the goal, but we can't say we sad about that though. We happy about that too, right? And I'm a stronger dancer than I was when I started. I see myself in dance class. I take videos of myself sometimes, and I'm amazed by what I'm capable of doing. And I recognize I have a better balance in my life than I had before. A better balance between work, temple, and myself. right? A better balance between all of the different responsibilities that I carry. I recognize that in general, I've set up and created a better life for myself. And I'm still in the process of setting up and creating a better life for myself. I'm in the process of maintaining a better life for myself. I'm in the process of continuing to refine this life for myself. I'm not at the end of this journey. I'm not telling this story because I'm finished. I'm not finished. I'm telling this story because I'm still going, because I'm still committed. I've made some progress. I'm happy with the progress I've made. I'm proud of myself and proud of the progress that I've made. And I'm able to look back and see how far I've come. And that keeps me motivated and driven to keep going. To know that if I did that much before, then I have what it takes to do the rest of it. That even though the rest of the journey looks long and it looks far and it looks hard, I did that part of the journey, so why can't I do the next part of the journey? I'm capable of every step, no matter how difficult it is. I have what it takes. The Netru have my back. My ancestors have my back. And together we've gotten this far. So we can go to lengths completely unseen and completely unknown. We can go to depths that have never been explored before. We can go to heights that have never been explored before, because we are capable of that when we do it together. And that's why I'm sharing this story, because I know that from the work that I've been doing, that some of you can see in this, some of the ways that you want to approach your own healing. That maybe you need to do more salt baths, and maybe you need to put up your altar, and maybe you need to get a reading done to determine what netter or netert you want to work with. That maybe you need to take dance classes or yoga classes, or you need to recommit yourself to martial arts or to working out. That maybe you need to change up your diet. This year has been so terrible for us. This year has been so difficult for us. This is the year of COVID-19. This year, we have seen our loved ones get sick from a virus that like a year ago didn't, or 14 months ago didn't even exist. We didn't even know about this thing 14 months ago. And now we are watching people that we love get sick. Even if they get over coronavirus, they still have existing conditions. They still have, I was reading the other day, like somebody was saying that they had COVID and they still can't taste anything months after they've had COVID. People are saying they still have breathing problems months after they got over COVID. People are saying that COVID can sometimes cause heart problems, kidney problems in the people who have it. So you're watching, you might have a loved one who's struggling with something. You might be struggling with something after you've had COVID. You might have a loved one who made their transition to the West because of COVID. You might know someone who knows someone who made a transition to the West because of COVID. We've had to be stuck indoors. We've been disconnected from each other. We've been disconnected from the things we love, the people we love. This year has challenged us. This has been a crisis. And in so many ways, this year has inflicted trauma on us that we all need to heal from. Whether we had COVID or not, it doesn't matter. The way that this year has affected us, we all have things that we need to heal from this year. We all have trauma that we need to release from this. And I just truly hope and pray, I truly hope and pray that we are all committed entirely to our entire health and well-being, that we are taking the steps we need to take to overcome these challenges and to not allow the pain and the fear and the suffering of this trauma to take root in our being. No matter what it is that we need to do for ourselves, it is entirely worth it, because we are entirely worth it. We are worth every effort we give to make ourselves whole and healthy and happy. We are worth every effort we give to improve the quality and the condition of our lives. We are worth every effort to make our dreams come true. Don't you forget it, and don't you doubt it for a single moment. And if you are worth it, if you are worth the energy, if you are worth the time, if you are worth the effort, if you are worth the healing process, if you are worth the work, then do the work. I can't express it to you in any other way. Do the work for yourself, if for nothing and for nobody else. Do it for you. Don't allow what happened this year and the pain of this year to define who we are. We can't do that. That is not what it means to stand on the platform of Ma'at.
Right.
That is not what it means for us to stay conscious through the crisis. That is not what it means to stay resilient and steadfast through our challenges. We're entering into our winter holiday season. One of the main holidays we celebrate now is Web and Jed. And the symbolism behind Web and Jed is remaining firm, remaining upstanding, remaining resilient through any challenge, through all of the dark nights of the soul, through all of the crises, through all of the chaos that is thrown at us, through all of the obstacles that are placed in our path. We are men and women of Ma'at, and we will stand firm and true to everything that we believe and everything that we are, regardless of what is thrown our way. We will never allow these challenges to keep us from living a path of truth, justice, righteousness, harmony, balance, and divine right order. That is our charge, because that is who we are deeply and intrinsically. So again, dua for allowing me to share that with you all. I really hope that you all are able to take something from that. And if not, I'm just grateful, because I feel like it's healing for me also to be able to share my story, and to be able to share my journey. It's healing to me, and I hope that it's healing and beneficial to any one of you out there. Hopefully all of you, but at least some of you, at least one of you. And I'm just grateful again. I continue to be grateful for the opportunity that we get to have to share space with all of you.
That's what it is. On drops.
Dua Netta.
I think that was worth at least $5.
So, you want to share anything?
No.
You good?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So Dua Netta. Yes. So if you all got anything out of this message today, we would greatly appreciate your reciprocity and support in the form of a donation to be sent to us for the work that we're doing at the Temple of Anu. You can send a donation via Cash App, $ Temple of Anu. You can also do so on PayPal, templeofanu@gmail.com. We really appreciate all of the energy you all share with us, all of the energy that you all send to us as reciprocity. And just the ways that it allows us to continue to invest in our work and invest in the building of this community, and invest in being able to be present for so many of you, even around the world. Even if you're not able to send a donation at this time, we will be back here in 2 weeks for our regularly scheduled communion on December 27th. And we really look forward to that. Yeah, right. We're grateful to be able to be here and consistently here for you during this time. I think that's it.
How more people gonna come on at the end?
Doing that too. Yes. That's okay. It's recorded, so even if they're just joining, they could come on and watch and rewatch it later. So doing that too. Yes. All right, everyone. All right. We will see y'all in 2 weeks.
Yes, sir.
Shami Mateb.
Shami Mateb.